While I was looking at terminal blocks on Amazon, I stumbled across this thing. And it says that you can put the power in one side, like right there, and then, it can be put right out through the other side so it has a continuous bus. But in addition to this, it's also got positive and negative terminals on each side. So one other one I saw had it set up so you put, you'd have a positive connection on one side, negative on the other. Of course, it doesn't matter which one, but this one is laid out so that you can have a positive and negative right next to each other. So these were about $10 a piece. And I really wanted to try one, as I'm going to have a number of spots on my layout where there's going to be a lot of little DC accessories. So we'll see how that works out soon enough. Since I don't have a really great view of it, I've decided that the thing next to the door on the building and the other one are vents. This kind of makes sense if you think about it in the way that there could be, some gaseous chemicals being unloaded from that tank car, or from a tank car there. So I've drawn a square on here as best I can, and I'm going to install a couple of vents. I've only got one right now, and I'm just waiting for the other one to show up. It was supposed to be here yesterday, but it looks like there was a delay in transit. And that's the way it goes. It's easier to make cuts in styrene, I find, especially thick product, when you have a hole. I took my drill and a 5/16 inch bit and drilled this. And as you can see, it distorted the plastic. But because I scored it first, it didn't cut it beyond where my cut line was. So that's probably going to be just fine. Now that I have my hole, my general hole, I can use this Micromark nibbler. Stick this thing through the hole like that, and I can work out, squeeze it, and it punches, takes chunks out of it. Nice thing about this is you can kind of work it. Once it gets close to done, I'll stop using this, and I'll go back with my knife and trim it out neatly. Just depends on the situation. Sometimes you can do the whole thing. It really depends on what kind of thing you're putting in the hole. Like this is a Rix vent, louvered vent that's going in there. And so it's pretty, it's got a bit of a frame to it. So you got a little bit of playroom there, but not much. And after some whittling away, we have a nicely fitted vent. Cool, huh? And the other cut is done. So, the more you do these things, the better you get at them. So even if you've got some scrap laying around, and even if you don't have, a project in mind, I would recommend just trying it, just keeping it going. Using this glue jig I got a long time ago from Micromark. They're like 25 bucks, by the way, and totally worth it. I have put the 4 exterior walls of this building together, and my next step will be to paint it. Way far from done, but so far I'm pretty happy with this progress of this model. The color is a little darker than I intended it to be, or that I thought this color would be, which is the Mission Models Random Tan. And this is the first time I've painted anything with Mission Models paints. I think I'll be buying some more. I like the dispenser, the bottle with the little cap that allows you to pour it pretty quickly, and but not have to take the whole cap off the bottle, and it sprayed well. I thought it sprayed really well. And then the top, as I mentioned before, was painted with a Tamiya rattle can in silver leaf, and I'll be going over the gutters with white, but with the building being blue out of the box, or out of the package for the kit, I should say, it needed to be covered with something, and since spraying the whole thing was an easy way to get that done, it's a good start. So the other Rix parts finally came in, and that's the louvered ventilators. These, I've got some N scale ones as well that are pretty doggone small. They'll be handy for doing some things later on. These are only a little bit bigger than 1/4 of an inch each way. Like I said, that'll be handy for some other stuff. And then the other thing that I needed was the roll-up engine house doors. So, as you can see on the model over here, I've got both the louvers installed on this side. I've also finished the roof, painting it. That is the main painting. I was looking at the picture, and there's some rust streaks in kind of a weird spot. There's like here and here, but there's also some vents on the roof that coincide with the location of those things, interestingly enough. So I'll have to dig through my kits and see if I've got some Walthers Cornerstone roof details that I think have the right kind of fixture for that. Yeah, so the one I'm thinking of looks like that vent right there. Maybe this one, but I'm pretty sure that is a closer match. So I'll have to put a couple of those on there. Usually these vents, when they're mounted on the roof, will sit level. And this roof is not level, it's sloped. And it's kind of obvious, right? Anyway, what is kind of handy though is that Rix includes in some of their kits some vents, but for that purpose they always make they put these little wedges in the package, and I always end up with too many of these things. But this case, it'll work out. This is too big, but I'm probably going to cut it at least in half, and I'll have it sitting like, on there, and then I'll put the vent on top of it so the vent will set level. There's actually going to be 2 vents. We would like one about right there, and then there's another one that's further down the building. By the way, I wanted to mention here that if any of you have questions about what I'm doing, feel free to leave them in the comments. I try to read the comments and respond to any questions there are. If you have anything that you might be interested in seeing about the construction of the layout, leave that in the comments as well, and I'll try to cover it in a future video. I probably purchased about 4 of these roof detail kits from Walthers. I just like adding little details to my buildings. It makes them so much more interesting than they are out of the box. That's why I go through the trouble of painting them and all that. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. 2 more of these. And yes, I did drop that other part. I'll pick that up in a second. Okay, 1 more of these. And then I'll take a fingernail file right here and smooth off what the sprue didn't cut quite perfect. Just a couple little drops of glue in here, and we'll have these things together. That's good. That needs to sit like that. that. Doing these each a little different, but okay. In a few seconds, that'll be dry. Taking my razor saw and cutting this thing. There's probably an easier way of doing this. I'll think of it right after I'm done. Apologize for the quality of this picture, but I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of the vent that I'm shooting for right there. Okay, a little paint, and we'll have some good looking roof vents there. Doing some painting on the details here. I got the one on the left there painted silver, and this shows up better for the human eye. But to paint it silver, I actually used a Sharpie. Sometimes a silver Sharpie is all you need for painting these small details. A lot less messier than some other ways of doing it, and since you're only doing a small project anyway.
So I've never really found a concrete color that I was particularly happy with that matched Western Washington well. Oh, wait a second.
As I was saying, I've never really found a concrete color for Western Washington and I was really happy with. After my earlier experience mentioned with the Tamiya spray paint, I decided to try one of their gray colors and see how that worked. And unlike the way this is a Walther Street insert set, and that's after I painted it. It's a little, it's a little too consistent right now, but I'll put some weathering on that. This is what they look like without the painting. As you can see this versus that. I've been to the Midwest, and this is not a bad color for Midwest concrete, but for Washington, it's at least the west side of Washington, it doesn't really match at all. Anyway, so painted that. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe a little darker, but like I said, after I weather it, it'll probably look better. So I used the Tamiya model aircraft color AS11 medium C gray for that. So this piece was done as an experiment with some stone gray, I think it was like Krylon paint. And it said it was satin, but I found it to be super shiny. And then I did some flat over the top of it, and that's been about a half hour. It says that it takes like a day to get fully dull, so I'll check it out tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm liking the results I get with that Tamiya. Even though it looks a little shiny in that light, it is not anywhere near like that. Well, thanks y'all for checking out episode 13. Take care y'all, and we'll catch you next time.